Okay, so picture this, a struggling college student choosing to eat canned tuna for a month straight instead of, grabbing a nice steak. On the surface, it's just a diet choice, right? But dig a little deeper and it's actually a profound sacrifice for a much larger goal. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the fascinating architecture behind why we make the choices we make. We'll be using the framework of Dr. Gary Meadors to explore how our deepest, most foundational beliefs actually stack up block by block to create the ultimate human virtue.
Here is our roadmap for today. 1. Worldview produces values. 2. Intrinsic versus extrinsic values. 3. The true definition of love. And 4. The pathway to love.
All right, Section 1. Worldview produces values. The lens of choice.
To really understand our choices, we have to recognize that they don't just happen in a vacuum. Dr. Meadors points out that every single one of us operates with a worldview. Think of it like a lens. It's the mental framework through which we interpret reality. In the biblical transformed mind model, simply acknowledging that you have this lens is step number 1. The raw data of life comes in, it passes through your specific, personalized lens, and it creates meaning on the other side.
So the crucial point here is that your worldview comes first, and your values are really just the operational byproduct. A value is essentially a basic personal belief derived directly from that worldview. For example, if your worldview recognizes a calling to serve in a specific career, the resulting value is that you absolutely must prepare for it. And that value is what actually guides your daily judgments. It dictates what you think, what you buy, how you treat people, and yes, exactly why you choose the canned tuna over the steak.
Moving right along to Section 2. Intrinsic versus extrinsic values, the ought and the should.
Now, knowing we have values is one thing, but what happens when they collide? Because they definitely do. This is where the real friction of human decision-making lives. We basically have two frameworks here. First, there are deontological values. These are intrinsic, they are completely non-negotiable, and they represent what we absolutely ought to do. On the flip side, we have consequentialism. These values are extrinsic, they are highly pragmatic, and they represent what we should do based on the likely outcome.
To test these dense philosophical frameworks practically, Dr. Meadors shares this brilliant, incredibly grounded anecdote. Just imagine you're a guest speaker, and you've been invited over to dinner by a young, super nervous couple. The host works incredibly hard, but out of sheer anxiety, she totally undercooks the main course. You are served a slice of practically raw meatloaf. So, what do? Do you apply a blunt, non-negotiable intrinsic value of absolute truth and tell her she failed? Or do you make the pragmatic choice? In this specific scenario, extrinsic values, consequentialism, are what guide the action. You choose to just kind of eat around the cooked edges to protect your host from embarrassment. The intention here isn't to maliciously deceive her, but to administer grace. It's a perfect, everyday example of how extrinsic values often negotiate the really complex realities of life, where being completely blunt might just cause unnecessary harm.
Which brings us to Section 3, the true definition of love, beyond emotion.
Okay, having explored how we navigate our daily choices, let's shift from general ethics down to a specific, ultimate value. This quote entirely redefines what we so often assume about love. It says, "Love is the determination to do good, the greatest possible good, toward the object of love." Notice the heavy, structural nature of those words. This completely elevates love from some fleeting emotion to a systematic, deliberate virtue. You literally have to first define what is good in order to actually act in love.
So think about what love isn't. It isn't just an emotion. It's not a little heart doodle on an envelope or that awesome feeling you get eating chocolate almond ice cream. What love actually is an action word. It's a covenant loyalty. It is a very real choice to devise someone's ultimate good. And honestly, this is exactly why the biblical command to love your enemies actually makes sense. It's not a command to feel warm and fuzzy about them. No way. It's a command to intentionally plan their ultimate good, totally regardless of your emotions.
This operational structure is what regulates human community, and it's perfectly illustrated by what Dr. Meadors calls the Galatians sandwich. Think of the top piece of bread as fulfilling God's law, to love your neighbor. The bottom piece of bread balances it out. That's fulfilling Christ's law to bear one another's burdens. And the fruit right there in the middle, that's managed and held together entirely by this active, structural love working within a community.
Finally, Section 4, the pathway to love, the 2 Peter virtue wheel. So if love is this demanding, structural determination to do good, how on earth do we actually achieve it?
Well, Dr. Meadors points to a really fascinating architectural blueprint found in 2 Peter chapter 1. It commands readers to make every effort to supplement your faith. The Greek terminology here is super interesting. It implies acting like a patron of the arts, supplying without regard for cost. It's what Dr. Meadors calls the moral sweat required to build this chained progression of virtues.
This basically operates like a ladder, where every single rung produces the next one. You supply virtue by faith, then knowledge by virtue, then self-control by knowledge. Think about how profound that is for a second. If you lack self-control, this framework suggests it's actually a symptom of lacking knowledge, which ultimately stems from a lack of virtue. They are deeply, deeply connected links.
Let's keep climbing the ladder and see how this builds to the summit. From self-control, you supply patient endurance. From patient endurance comes godliness. From godliness comes brotherly love. And finally, the absolute crown of the list, the queen of this carefully crafted wheel, love. This proves that ultimate love is not an emotional wheel. It is a knowledge and virtue wheel. You literally cannot reach the peak of love without putting in the moral sweat to build those foundational steps of self-control and godliness right beneath it.
Which leaves us with a pretty critical reflection. We started this explainer by looking at how our basic worldview acts as the lens for our simplest choices, like saving money on groceries. But now we see that this exact same lens is required to achieve the ultimate virtue of love. If true love actually requires a foundation of deliberate knowledge and rigorous self-control, we have to ask ourselves, how well do you actually know your own worldview? Have you really examined the lens through which you're looking at the world? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope this leaves you eager to examine the values guiding your own steps.